Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This week we're down in the compressor room. This is the Ingersoll Rand SS5 and it's needing a little maintenance done. As you heard in that intro, the belt's got a little bit of a squeak to it. It's due an oil change. We need to change the air filter and just check a few other things on it. So I thought I'd just bring you along and we'll see if we can't get it fixed up. As I mentioned, it is an SS5 single stage 5 horsepower. And it is due an oil change, and we're going to be changing that belt. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and unplug it. I have ran the unit. It is up to temperature. Our oil level is just at the top of the sight glass. I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil out of it and just let it be draining while we're working on the belt. And just to prevent stupid, we're going to actually cut the switch off and put a little piece of tape over it. Make us a little note. Typically, to drain the oil on this model, originally it just had a pipe plug here, so you would loosen the pipe plug and the oil would run out. And I'd always put something underneath here, but no matter how I did it, I still had oil would run back actually underneath the compressor. So a few years back, we actually added a Quincy just for painting, a 2-stage 5 horse unit, and we redid our piping so that we could plumb either one of the compressors in at either time. While I had this unit down, I went ahead and took all this loose, basically just put a brass pipe with a 90 and a pipe plug here. So now I can drain the oil pretty easily. So that oil don't look too bad coming out of there. I believe it was replaced in 2017. We'll know when we change the air filter on the unit because I always write the date on the air filter. So it may have about a 1/2 inch deflection on it, the best I can tell. Like I said, it is the original belt, so we're going to replace it. Something else worth mentioning: to remove that belt, we'll have to loosen up the bolts here on the motor. There's 4 of them, and the motor will be able to slide this way. When I redid all of this before, I actually, in the original location, I made some witness marks with a Sharpie. Now, I've had to readjust this in the past. I've tightened this belt up at least once, so you can see I'm a little past where the original settings was. We got 4 14mm bolts that we need to loosen up. There we go. And with that, our belt should just come off. There it is. This is the original belt, 950-99453. Definitely see a lot of wear on the sides of the belt. See if I can get the camera to pick it up. It almost looks glazed. I'm not sure if that's where the squeak is coming from. Basically, I have a new belt. It came from Industrial Air Power. So we'll give this a try. I think it was $20-some. I don't remember the exact price. I know this belt, compared to others that I looked at, some of them were up to $80-some if you ordered it directly through Ingersoll Rand. So this may just be a generic belt. If it don't work, I'll order the Ingersoll Rand one. But hopefully this will work. So before I put the new belt on, I'm just going to clean the pulleys. Our belt just goes back over and on. Make sure it's in the groove, and it is. then we can start pulling our motor back over. This is kind of the hard part because there's no really good way to get any leverage on this motor. I got an idea that I think is going to work, and we'll give it a try. I done it once, and I remember when I done it, I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea, but I can't remember what I did now. Old age. We got 1/4 of an inch that we need to bring this motor toward me. Okay guys, so it's the next day, and I got a little frustrated with this thing last night and decided just to give it some time and think about it. I got this just about lined up back to the factory setting, and like I said, I was frustrated, so I went ahead and cleaned my pipe plug, and I put some pipe sealant on it and sealed it, and I let it set overnight. You can see right here, I have this one just about perfect where it was at. This one's about a 1/16 of an inch off, and the belt, it looks like it's lined up, and like I said, it's got pretty good tension on it. So I got to thinking about it last night, and if this belt is the exact same, I'm going to go ahead and loosen it back up, remove the belt, and then I'm going to go ahead and set it exactly where it should be. I'm going to lock it down, and then I'm going to roll the belt onto the pulleys, and I believe that will work. I got to thinking about it, and the other belt was worn, and so I was trying to tighten it. This one shouldn't need to be tightened. It should just need to go back to the factory location. Alright guys, so I basically have it back at the factory locations without the belt, and I'm going to try to roll this on and see how it goes. Alright, I finally got it. I struggled with it, but I finally got it. The tension on it feels good. I don't have a tension gauge. I would say I'm about 1/4 of an inch. Alright guys, time for the oil. This is Ingersoll Rand's All Select. I buy it by the quart, but I always keep these older bottles. It's easier to pour out of. And when I fill it right to the very top of this sight glass. Barely got it right to the top. I've always left it where there's just a little bit of a bubble at the top. I've got a little line on this cap and the base. It tells you exactly where it was at, just so I don't over tighten it. There's an O-ring in there. Right there's what it looks like on the sight glass. You can barely see that little bit of a bubble there at the top, because without that it is hard to tell. And there you can see my witness marks of where I tightened the cap. It probably needs to be freshened up a little bit. Last thing we got to do is an air filter. Got a wing nut here. One thing about it, this unit always sounds better after an oil change. Wow, that's been a while. I thought it was 17. It was September the 16th is when we done it, and you can definitely tell this one's let this one go a little long. May of 21. That's pretty much our PM. We're ready to fire it up. Double check everything. We got oil. I have drained it back down to 0. The valves are closed. Best I could tell, the guard is clear. The unit has oil. Our air filter's been changed. Our tension on our belt should be back to factory. Let's go ahead and plug it up. Pressure switch is set to off. This unit cycles at 90, and then it cuts off at 135. Here we go. 6 minutes and 16 seconds from 0 to 135 psi on this particular unit. It definitely sounded a lot better. Like I mentioned, every time I change the oil in this unit, it does sound better. I'm just looking at the side of the belt. It looks okay, the best I could tell. So guys, the compressor is the heart of your shop. I'll let you know how this belt does. I'll try to keep my preventive maintenance up to date. Check this out. So I went to drain the Quincy. This was on here just like that, so it would pool in the floor, and it just broke right off. Something else to fix.